Hello, and welcome to episode 39 of Shared Discovery, the show and podcast dedicated to sharing the many exciting, enjoyable aspects of games, gaming, and Pokemon at this point.
Pokemon.
I'm your host, Victor, and I am once again joined by my co-host, Xander. It's been a while.
It has.
Been some episodes. How have you been?
Yeah. I've been busy.
Busy? That's...
With work.
Okay. You're still finding time for games, though.
Obviously.
What are you playing?
Right now, Super Smash Bros.
Yes, I do know that.
I've gotten really into modded Stardew Valley.
That's really interesting. What are some of the changes from that?
Adding some more characters.
Yeah, okay.
Adding
some more relationship options.
Yes.
Good.
My favorite Stardew character.
Really? A mod character is
yeah,
your favorite?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Stardew Valley Expanded is like the best part for the game.
Yeah.
But I've also been playing a Pokemon game.
Yes.
Pokemon Infinite Fusion, which is a fan-made game where you can fuse any Pokemon with any Pokemon.
It's crazy. It's cool.
It's great. I could take that shiny Dragonair and fuse it with a Flareon.
Yeah, they're crazy. The only reason I've seen anything about this game or checked it out is because I just want to see the crazy combinations.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And it's so rewarding when you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Compared to actually seeing
It's true. I saw a thumbnail for an Infinite Fusion tournament, and I was like, I just want to play it myself.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. I have not touched Pokemon in a while because Pal World is finally out. And we're going to do a whole episode on Pal World. Don't worry.
I want to be there for that so badly.
Don't worry. We're at a week at this point. It's been out for 1 week.
Is it? Has it?
Yeah, and I'm over 40 hours in.
I've also been watching a show recently.
Okay, what's that?
I've been watching Has Been Hotel.
Nice.
Which is not for children.
Not for children. You've told me about it. I still have yet to check it out, but Pal World has been consuming everything. It's survival. And so the way it's described is Pokemon with guns. It's much deeper than that.
From what I've heard, it's Pokemon mixed with Ark Survival Evolved.
That's the closer
with
comparison.
With a sprinkle of Breath of the Wild on there.
That's a much closer comparison with the survival aspect. What survival elements does Pokemon have?
Legends Arceus.
That's it. That's the only thing that Pokemon has, right? So that's the main comparison is Legends Arceus.
Actually,
there
was that fan-made game where you're just shooting Pokemon with guns.
What survival elements are in Legends Arceus? You don't have to manage your heat or your food. You don't build bases, right?
No.
So
you do build up the town.
That's not
slowly.
your base, though. You don't get to choose. You're not the one building it.
Yeah.
Right? So
you get to slowly
there's some comparisons. There's some comparisons in designs, but it's a fun experience that I've really been liking. And it's funny. I didn't get a gun until 30 hours in. So all of the advertisements show you shooting little critters with guns, and you don't even get one.
Or giving critters little critters.
Until many hours into the game. So.
There's also that chicken thing where if you craft some special gloves, you could use as a bazooka.
Yes, there's a little penguin that you can shoot as a bazooka. This is a wild game. I highly recommend. There's no story. I guess there's a very slim story you can get through these memos, or these diaries that you find, but otherwise you're just building bases, fighting bosses, catching little things. That's kept me busy. But this isn't the Power World episode.
No.
It's a Pokemon episode.
No.
And we've been talking about doing this episode since episode 4.
Shiny Pokemon!
We did our Pokemon gaming episode, and during that episode we talked about doing this. So,
yes.
So it's finally time.
It's finally time.
Maybe we should.
We also talked about it in a little bit in our ranking.
We did, just a little bit. Yeah, which was 16. I don't remember. We should have waited to do this on episode 40, so that it was 10 times the distance away. But we're talking about shiny Pokemon today. Finally, we're going to talk about what they are. Why do we like them? Why do people like them in general? Why is it such a big thing? Right? There's over 200,000 people on the shiny hunting subreddit. Why is it such a big part of the Pokemon community? And then
how to get them.
We got to teach you. So we're going to teach you. We're going to go generation by generation, teach you the best ways to get shiny Pokemon, or the ways in general. Right? It might not be the best way, but we're going to teach you the ways.
Spoiler alert: Gen 3 sucks for this.
Some people might disagree with that, and we'll get into the nuances of that.
Gen 3's great. not for shiny hunting.
So let's clean the house before we get into this. So as always, check us out on Instagram there. We're always posting updates of the show. You can see our set. You'll know about when we're going to be playing D&D next, which is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, that's
coming up in the next few weeks.
That's in like 6 episodes.
And our first gameplay is already up there. It's you can listen to all 3 hours
and
of it.
It is good.
It is fun.
I didn't listen to it because I don't like listening to my own voice, but
that's the secret. You don't. It drives you crazy. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, want to tell us your favorite shiny Pokemon, tell us a method that we missed, let us know at
don't bring up curry Pokemon.
shareddiscoveryshow@gmail.com. And I already said check out the D&D gameplay, so let's get into the show. So I got a question for you. What is your favorite shiny that you own?
So, I play a lot of Pokemon Go. True. I shiny hunt a lot in Pokemon Go. And one of my favorite shinies I own, probably my favorite, is this shiny Pichu with a flower crown that I named Dave. Dave.
When are we going to evolve Dave?
Never.
Never?
Never.
We're gonna leave it as a Pichu?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's a good shiny. I like the different hats they do in this game.
And it's like one of the rarer shinies in Pokemon Go too, really? Because of the flower crown.
Okay, yeah, and I know baby Pokemon are hard to get as shinies anyway.
Because they're only in eggs.
They're only in eggs, so that is very cool. This was a tough one for me. My very first full odds shiny, which we'll go over that in a second, but essentially you do nothing to increase the odds. It was a Geodude that I named Nugget, and Diamond, Platinum version. So I like that. That's the first one, the Rush. I also liked the Charmander that I got in Let's Go, because I found out that I was doing the method wrong, and it was also full odds. So it took a while, but now I can fly around in a shiny Charizard. But the one I landed on was the Alpha Heracross, shiny Alpha Heracross, that I got in a Distortion in Legends Arceus. So Distortions, they pop up randomly. They have a random pool of Pokemon that can show up. And then on top of that, every Pokemon has a chance to be Alpha, which is just huge. It's just a monster, right? So
I have a full team of shiny.
And you can see the picture. We'll put that picture up on screen here, but you can see how massive it is compared to the character. And that thing, it was cool. I turned around. You hear the sparkles. I turn around, and it's massive, and it knocks me over. So really liked that one. I found that super interesting. But we should probably tell them what shiny Pokemon are.
That thing.
Yeah, well, we'll tell the listeners what it is.
It's a Pokemon that is a different coloration than its normal one. And it's also very rare.
They are very rare. And
unless it's Legends Arceus.
I will say the one that you pointed to is a shiny Dragonair. And I actually have an example here. So on my shot, if for those viewers, I have in my right hand, I have the regular color Flareon. My left hand, I have a shiny Flareon. And so what the shiny is essentially, all it is, the stats don't change. There's nothing different about it. They just have a different color palette.
Which is odd.
Mm-hmm. And so when a shiny appears in the wild or it pops out of the ball, it has special sparkles that come out. And they make a ting sound effect and a nice flash of light. And the shiny colors can range from these Flareons to pretty subtle to very different. So the Dragonair. We don't have a regular Dragonair, but the regular colors.
Rayquaza.
Yes. So Dragonair regular color is blue, and then it turns all the way to pink. Same with the Heracross that you just saw on screen there.
Rayquaza.
Blue to pink.
Rayquaza's normally green, but when it's shiny, it's amazing black. Which is one of the best shinies.
That is up there is one of my favorites, but we'll get to that later. So that is what they are, right? Different colored Pokemon. And now let's get into the history of these, right? So these were introduced in Gen 2. They were introduced in Gold and Silver, those games.
The reason they weren't in Gen 1 is because there was no color.
We'll get into that. Well, we got to start at Gen 2 and then we'll go backwards, right?
I'm just saying.
And so the term shiny Pokemon actually came from fans.
Us.
They came from us. We were like the shiny effect and the noise.
Well, not
That's
specifically
shiny.
us. Not specifically
not
us.
us. Not me.
Whoever first said shiny Pokemon on the forums, good job.
You need a raise. And so Game Freak originally called them rare Pokemon. They didn't actually refer to them in any media or anything, but in the code, in the debug menu of Gold and Silver, they were just called rare. Kind of boring. But later in Pokemon Stadium 2 for the Nintendo 64, they were called Color Pokemon. Gen 3 in the chat system, it was called Alt Color. And then in the trading card game, they had shiny Pokemon that were called Shining. And we have a few of those cards here. Maybe I'll take one out of the case because of the glare. But I have a shiny Glaceon that I got from my Hidden Fates packs. And then,
These are all his.
yes. And you have what do you have over there?
Altaria
And a Curlia.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were called Shining Pokemon. It wasn't until Gen 4 when the term Shiny Pokemon, which was created by the fans, was actually adapted by Game Freak and used.
And then Gen 5, a character in-game actually said it.
So the first time it was used by Game Freak was when they were giving out at events free shiny Pokemon.
Which they still do to this day.
Yep.
I can't wait for the release of some of the Legends in Gen 9.
Yep. So why do we like them?
Sparkles?
Yeah.
Can I just say sparkle?
It's just visual. There's not much to it, right? They don't change the stats. They don't make them better. It's essentially
This isn't Power World.
It's rare. There's just rarity. So the more difficult something it is to get a hold of, the more value it possesses. And what we have put here is bragging rights.
Yeah. Like Spinda. Spinda. Each shiny is completely unique because there's a ton of different patterns.
Yeah, the coding in there has millions of different ways that it can have spots, patterns all over its body. So it is basically impossible to have the same pattern as another person.
Yeah, especially with shinies.
So that's a big thing, is you get to brag and say, look at this different colored Pokemon I have. And I also put here gambling. That's what it is.
It is gambling.
You're rolling the dice
yes,
over
it is
and over
kid-friendly gambling.
to get something rare. That it's gambling, but it's not harmful. It's not.
Well, what you're paying to get the shinies is your time.
That's what it is. Instead of money, it's time. So the next thing I have here is color preference. Some people just like the shiny version better than the regular version and
Dragonair.
Want to play the game through it. Exactly.
Dragonair looks much better as a shiny.
I like the Dragonair color better too, right?
My favorite Pokemon, Vulpix, its evolution Ninetales, has a much better shiny than the original.
Yeah, I like the silver on the Ninetales a lot.
It's
and so
the ghostly.
For some people, they see that shining color and say, I like Pokemon, I want to play through the game, but I want to do it with that one. How do I get that one?
Although there is a little bit of a exception. Gengar shiny sucks.
Some people really like Gengar, though, and that's why this is preference, right? And what's really interesting, I think, to mention here is that shining colors have changed over time, right?
Charizard used to be purple.
It used to be purple in the first generation, and that is just because of how they made shinies, but due to the software and the sprites that they've made and the animations, colors have shifted over time. So some people might like the shiny Pokemon in this generation, but not later because of how it's changed, or vice versa. I never used to like Pikachu shiny until later generations where it got darker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, another thing we forgot to mention with the history, we didn't even bring it up when we were making this. What was it? I just had it.
Oh no, it'll come back to you. Just squeeze it back in.
I got it. Okay. I got it. Okay. Game Freak never actually picked out the colors for shiny Pokemon until much later. At the start, they just
put a filter on them.
Huge change.
That's the expectation. It's never been confirmed or denied by Game Freak that that's how they did it, but fans have recreated the process and kind of been able to, extrapolate that
But
information, infer that.
But in the past, 10 years, they've actually been physically changing them.
Yeah, and it's noticeable. Like the first generation that they came out in Gen 2 will look a lot different, most of them. So, and the last reason, or to get back on track here, the last reason people like shinies is a different way to play the game. So I put replay value. So if you have a different colored Pokemon, it'll feel different playing the game that way. And then can also be a time waster is how you play
yes,
it.
I use it to waste time.
Yeah. So replay value, time waster, depends on who you're talking to, right? A Pokemon Shiny Hunter might say replay value. My grandma might say time waster.
I say both.
It might say both, right? It depends on how you view it. And that these things can be said about many games, right? Yes. Depending on who you're talking to. It just depends on if they like it or not. So those are the big three reasons: bragging rights, preference, and replay value. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now the crux of the episode. How do we get these?
How do you get them?
How do we get the shiny Pokemon? And to start, we're going to be saying this a lot, so it's called shiny hunting methods. These are the strategies that you use to find the shiny, and it varies per generation. So we're going to go in order, give you those
We'll try
strategies.
not to say the same one twice.
And disclaimer here, because we got to say it, we're going to miss some.
Yes.
But we're going to try to give you the most encompassing view, the most important ones.
Again, don't bring up curry Pokemon. Most people don't know you can get Pokemon from curry.
Well, maybe that's cool. Well, maybe you got to bring it up then, so that they can bring it up to someone else.
So obscure, though.
Hey, I saw a YouTuber do it. But let's jump in. So, okay, so we know that there are methods. These are strategies that you get them, but there are full odds, and then there are methods that you use to increase the chances. So full odds refers to using nothing to increase your chances, and for the game that you are in, you use just the base rate. So for generations 2 through 5, that base rate is 1 out of 8,192. Every single Pokemon you encounter, if you don't do anything to increase those odds, 1 out of 8,192. Gambling, remember, we talked about gambling. Well, insert it once you get to that gen, write it down.
It's in all of them.
What is it?
Soft resetting.
That is random encounters.
Is it really?
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Did you bring up?
We will. I plan on talking about it. Come on, I am a seasoned shiny
You didn't
hunter.
write it down, so I'm like...
Because I knew we'd talk about it.
I just forgot about it until just now.
Not a problem. So that's the full odds, right? There are a lot of people that say, I don't want to do anything to increase the odds. If the shiny comes, it comes. I'm going to take my time with it, right? Back to the time waster, back to the replay value. And then there are methods. These are built-in strategies that vary by game that allow you to increase those odds past that base rate.
I get this one.
And so that's the base rate for these first generations we'll talk about, and then we'll tell you later on when it increases in Gen 6, we'll tell you those odds. Okay, so let's start. Generation 2. This is the generation that shinies were introduced.
Yes.
Introduced
Very
to us.
good.
Because we had color.
We got color.
The Game Boy Color allowed them to add shinies. So the method that exists in every single game is called random encounters. All this is, it's the most fundamental form of shiny hunting. It's all you do is encounter random Pokemon over and over until it's shiny.
Running grass.
You are going over and over and over until the number in the code changes the color to that you want.
Again. Running grass, soft resetting.
Yep.
Those are the two most basic versions of this.
And the reason I clump soft resetting in here, and I should say soft resetting is where in each game there are Pokemon that you can typically encounter once. They're static, they're on the screen, you can see them, you click them, you go into the encounter with them. And what you'll do is you go in the encounter, see if it's shiny. If not, you'll use whatever console you have, you'll use the specific button combination to reset the game to re-encounter it. Because when you re-encounter, it spins that Pokemon's internal values again. So that's a random encounter in the same way as like going through grass or going through fishing over and over. You're spinning that number over and over until you get that color that you want. And again, we'll say it one more time, because we're going to say a lot of numbers this episode. Warning. But for these gens that we're about to talk about, is 1 out of 8,192. And we'll tell you when those odds change. Okay. The first of the day. The free shiny.
The free shiny.
And so Game Freak doesn't do this often. There's only a handful of them. But it started in Gen 2. They gave us free shiny. So we're going to show you on screen now what that looks like. But we'll tell them what it is.
The famous red Gyarados. It's like iconic at this point.
It really is. It's in the Lake of Rage. It's part of the plot. Like, you have to encounter it to move on with the game. So they put a shiny as part of the game, and
to show them off,
to show the new mechanic. So that's the first free shiny of the day. It doesn't happen often. You usually got to work for it, but we're gonna point them out when it happens.
7 or 8 of them total.
Yeah, exactly.
In the 30 year, 27 years?
Yeah, something like that. So the Game Freak's like, we'll give you some, we'll sprinkle them on there, but otherwise,
black and white.
Do it
Black to white 2 of 3. We'll get into that.
They do. Okay, so this one you brought to my attention, actually. This next method.
One of my favorite methods ever. It's only a 1 game ever. It's in Crystal, and it's with the Odd Egg.
And the Odd Egg, I looked this up. It's an event. You get an event ticket, and then you give it to the daycare guy, and he gives you an Odd Egg.
Yes. And that Odd Egg has a very limited pool of Pokemon it could be.
It's like, I think it's 7 baby Pokemon.
It's just baby Pokemon. But in the English games, there's a 14% chance for that Pokemon to be shiny.
Which is insane, right? Because 1 out of 8,192, I didn't do the percent. I think it's like 0.006 or something once you do the percent. So all the way up to 14%, that's 1 in 7 chance.
Yeah. But if you're playing a Japanese version, it's 50%.
Coin flip. Flip a coin and you're going to get a shiny. And what's cool about these eggs is you can hatch it, see if it's shiny, restart the game before you got the egg, pick it back up again, hatch it, and keep doing that.
Also, you can go for a specific shiny if you want. Like, if you're really if you really want a shiny Tyrogue, you can just reset the game over and over again until you get said shiny Tyrogue. It's not going to take all that. I mean, the Odd Egg is one of the longest eggs to hatch.
But you got to think. So the regular odds say, on average, you're going to get a shiny in 8,000 encounters. The Odd Egg says you're going to get a shiny in 7.
But
Talk about time.
It's still going to take like 5 minutes of going up and down in a line to hatch it.
Tell me how much better that is than 8,000 random encounters, right? So this is one of the easiest encounters that, other than free, which is 100%, that exists in all of Pokemon.
Well, there's also the next one.
There's more not quite as high, but still crazy high. So this is the generation that added breeding to the game. So I guess we're done with our sheet.
Woo. We are.
And breeding is where you
throw the other
as it says, you can
breed
Pokemon. 2 Pokemon in the daycare if they have matching, like, egg groups.
Or it's Ditto.
And they'll lay an egg. Or Ditto. And Ditto can breed with anything because it's just genetic blob, which sounds gross, but it is what it is.
We love Ditto.
And so when you breed a shiny Pokemon with another Pokemon, a regular one, its offspring of the opposite gender, its offspring has a 1 in 64 chance of being shiny, which increases the odds crazy high.
And you want to know the best part about it being in Gen 2? You have a shiny Gyarados that's male. So you go get any water Pokemon that's female, you pop them in, you're going to get a shiny of that Pokemon.
It's so interesting because the way it works is there's egg groups. So like water Pokemon can breed with water Pokemon, flying with flying. So Gyarados is part flying, so I'm wondering if it can breed with flying types too. I don't know that.
Skarmory, get out.
Yeah, it'd be super interesting.
So wait, Skarmory?
But 1 in 64.
Also,
this is
isn't
crazy.
it technically in the Dragonite group?
I have no idea. So
it feels like it is.
I'm not a breeder. I just know that a lot of people love this method because it increased the odds like crazy. So now we're going to rewind to Gen 1 because we had to give you this backdrop to understand what the heck Gen 1's weird code is, right? So because technically there are no shinies in Gen 1.
But there technically are?
Because they can't sparkle, they can't have the color, but they can have the right stats. So when you transfer them from yellow, red, blue, green, when you transfer them to crystal, gold, silver, they will be shiny. So the shininess depends on the IVs, the individual values or determinant values, depending on the game, and it leads to a lot of weird quirks. So I just copied it here because I wanted to make sure I don't mess it up. But essentially, due to the correlations between the pseudo-random numbers in Gen 1 games, Pokemon encountered in those games in tall grass, cave tiles, by surfing, water, it's impossible for them to have the stats, the IVs they need to be shiny. But fishing encounters, gift Pokemon, stationary Pokemon, and in-game trades all have the chance to have the stats they need so that they can be shiny, and they have the same odds as a regular shiny.
1 in 8,192.
Yes, and drill that into your brain. It's been drilled into mine. And so with those encounters, you can look up a table online of what stats the Pokemon needs, catch that Pokemon, look at the stats, see if it matches. If not, you reset. If it has those stats, once you transfer it up, it'll be shiny. And I've known a lot of people that will transfer it all the way up. Not a lot of people, but I've known people and watched videos of transferring with Gen 1 all the way to Gen 9, and it gets like a special mark and on it that says it came from an old game, so that's really
also
cool.
If you become the champion in each of those games,
yeah,
you'll just get a bunch of ribbons.
Yep, so
marks.
You can technically get one. And then there's also a shiny Ditto glitch. So in Gens 1 and 2, it's possible to use a glitch to catch a shiny Ditto. If a wild Pokemon uses Transform twice, meaning that it transforms again while it's already transformed, when it's caught, it'll be the Ditto that has the DVs, so the IVs, the stats that it needs to be shiny.
So just trade
It's super weird. This can be used to copy the stats of a shiny Pokemon, right? I think I messed it up. So it will have the stats of the Pokemon it transformed into. So if it double transformed into one of your shiny Pokemon, it'll have the stats it needs to be a shiny Ditto. Super weird. So just try it.
But hey, that's a way to get a shiny Ditto.
A way to get a shiny Ditto and a way to start breeding with any Pokemon in the game. Okay, so that's Gen 1 and 2's weirdness. Now we're going to go to an easy generation.
Gen 3.
Gen 3.
There's technically no methods.
There's no methods
unless you want to make the
added.
game harder.
Yeah, there's nothing added. The only thing you could do are random encounters. So you can soft reset, you can fish, you can be on grass, but there's no ways to increase the odds. You're not seeing anything like eggs in Gen 2. But there's something weird that happened with the code in Gen 3 with Unknown. For those of you that don't know, Unknown is a Pokemon that has different versions, 28 different versions that in the shape of different letters. The English
or the
alphabet.
question mark. Or the exclamation
mark.
mark.
I said 28, and yes. And so something about the code in this game makes it that so the unknowns formed actually vary in the chance to get them.
Because their IVs are different.
So the way that it was stated is they have an uneven distribution for shiny probability because the form is determined by its personality value.
Oh, yeah, personality.
Yep.
Sorry, they switched it there.
And it depends on your trainer ID and your secret ID, which means that they range from 1 out of 5,000 at the lowest to all the way up to 1 out of 18,000. So if you want a weird hunt where you got some really weird chances here out of the norm, that's what stuck out to me from Gen 3. But on to Gen 4.
Free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert. Tell me about this free shiny.
Hi, Gyarados.
It's the same one. Because they remade Gold and Silver.
For Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yeah, and I got one of them on set here.
Such a...
Heart Gold, yeah. And so what they did with these remakes is they kept the Gyarados in the Lake of Rage. And we got some art here from Pixel Lady. It's of that scene. It's awesome. It should be up on screen here for those viewers. Highly recommend checking out. They did a good job with that art. But that's the next free shiny. Guess it's the same, technically.
Yeah.
But
that's the only thing we're gonna bring up twice, though.
yeah. Because I guess it's different. But anyway, this is where they added a shiny method in Gen 4 that has been used every generation since. Tell them what it is.
Okay, I can say it. The Masuda method. Mm-hmm. It is a method where if you breed a Pokemon from a different language, from a different region, with a Pokemon from your region, the chance of the offspring being shiny is increased dramatically.
Yes, it increases a lot with each generation. So what it does is, so the way that shinies work, it's been changed over time, but the personality values have to match a certain threshold, an exact threshold to be shiny. So when you crossbreed across regions, right, your games are from different regions. I have a Japanese game, I have an English game, I have a Japanese game, I have a German game, and I breed Pokemon from those games. Instead of generating a single personality value, it generates 5. So you're getting a lot more chances for it to be shiny. And so this has been in every single game since Gen 4. This was huge for shiny hunters.
I personally do not like doing this method of shiny hunting. I think you're weird if this is your preferred method of shiny hunting.
Why is that?
Because it's so much time and effort, especially in Gen 9.
It's a time-wasting hobby. You said you like wasting time.
Not that much time.
No?
No.
The thing is, because of something we'll get into later, certain Pokemon you can only get out of eggs. Certain shinies you can only get out of eggs, and this is the only way to do it, which is unfortunate. But we'll get into that later. So how much does the odd go up if you do the Masuda method?
It goes from 1 in 8,192 to 1 in 1,683.
Which is very, very high.
That's
a very high increase. I use too many varies. It's an increase because very, very high is the odd egg. This is a substantial increase, right?
Very, very high is Legends Arceus. Very, very, very high is odd egg.
Okay, yeah, very, very, very. Okay, yeah, the odd egg. And so from Gen 5, it got even higher to 1 out of 1,365. We'll get into the next mechanic in the next gen. Gen 5 added a lot of cool things. But the Masuda method is awesome. It is a lot of people have provided a way to get shinies they haven't been able to get ever before. And some people just like to do it as a passive hunt, because what you do is you put 2 Pokemon in the daycare, you get the eggs as you go, you check them, and there are even games where you can auto run. So they'll just put like a penny under their joystick and just auto run while the egg hatches, because that's how you hatch the eggs.
I personally think it's worse than Gen 9 because all the eggs just go to your box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard the egg hunting in Gen 9.
In Gen 8, it's great.
Okay.
In Gen 9, no.
Not so much. Okay, so the next thing that was introduced in Gen 4, and this was the only generation it was in, this and its remake, but it was Pokeradar in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
Platinum and BDSP.
So what happens here is you can slowly increase the odds of finding a shiny Pokemon as you build a chain of catching the same Pokemon. The odds increase to a maximum of 41 out of 8,192, so 1 in 200. Almost getting to Gen 2 odds again, right?
We got to Legends Arceus odds.
That's higher than Legends Arceus odds.
Yeah.
That's pretty close. So you keep skipping to Gen 8. So hold off on Gen 8. Hold on. So what happens when you do the Pokeradar is you activate it. You get 4 shaking patches of grass. Once you get to that threshold and to the 1 in 200, there's a chance for each of those patches 1 in 200 chance for each of those patches to be shiny.
And you see sparkles.
Which means since there are 4 of them that happen at a time, it's 1 in 50 chance to be shiny, which that's higher than Gen 2.
And you can actually see the sparkles.
You can see the sparkles on the patch of the grass. I will say, to warn those who are saying, that's cool, that's high on, these shiny chains are really hard to maintain because they can break really easily. If you fail to catch the Pokemon, you move in a wrong way. But people that have gotten really good at these, I've seen people catch like 7 shinies in a row once they get the chain to the 41. It's really cool. So yeah, after that, this one is not like a method that you can just kind of do. You need extra software, but this is called the Cute Charm glitch. And what you can do is there are certain Pokemon that have the ability Cute Charm. And so it makes it possible for the player with a certain trainer ID, a secret ID, to manipulate the chance of a Pokemon with certain genders because the Cute Charm attracts Pokemon of certain genders, right? And so if you get this glitch active, you can get shinies up to certain shiny Pokemon to as high as 21% chance. 1 in 5. That's higher than the odd egg. But again, you need extra software to do this. But it's due to how the Cute Charm forces wild Pokemon to be specific genders. What's interesting about this, though, it will only be of that specific gender, and everything else outside of that gender actually has lower odds to be shiny because of this. So I thought this was fun to mention. You need extra software, but I thought it was pretty neat. It's the highest odds we've seen so far. No, 50% is the highest odds we've seen. 50%
is the highest
no,
odds.
No, free is the highest odds we've seen. Gen 5.
What was the 50%? Oh,
Japanese odd egg.
Love the odd egg.
Whew, Gen 5. Gen 5 was good.
And rough.
For shiny hunters. Do you want to do the good or the bad?
Let's get the bad out of the way.
Let's get the bad out of the way. Tell them about it.
Shiny locks. Shiny locks are the worst thing that have ever happened since Gengar Shiny.
Yes, this is really sad. And I will say, if you like Gengar Shiny, don't listen. Don't listen to them.
I love Gengar. Don't get me wrong. I love Gengar.
Because there are people that like Gengar.
It's shiny.
And again, this is one Gengar. If you look at the sprites across the ages, its shiny color has actually shifted over time.
And there are some spin-off games where it had like a teal color, and that was so good.
So this is a big part of shiny hunting, and I think we could mention this here. Part of the preference is expression. I know there are a lot of people that want to express themselves with the colors they want, and some people like to hunt quote-unquote bad shinies just because. So keep that in mind.
Your mind went to expression, and I immediately thought of Shiny Sylvia.
We're meme lords here, you know. We take shots, but if you like Gengar, let it rip. It's not my favorite, but I don't think it's as bad as Garchomp. So Shiny Lock, it is a mechanism that Game Freak added to the game where certain Pokemon were coded to be impossible for the player to get as shiny.
Usually static Pokemon.
This started with the static legendaries in those games.
Yeah, no, not the starters.
We were talking about this yesterday, how we felt bad for the people that hunted the legendaries in those games before they were data mined. Yeah, before they were data mined and learned that those were shiny locked. Because, man, every game up to that point until 2011, every game didn't have no shiny locks. Yep.
Oh, well, could you get a shiny Arceus from that Arceus event in Gen 4?
Well, the shiny Arceus did not. They never released that event.
Right, you're right. So, I thought they did.
So if it was released, you would have been able to. Yeah, so if it was able to be shiny, but you couldn't get it.
Have you seen that event?
I have. It's crazy. It's the only event in the game that uses real world footage. It's freaky. It has like pictures of bombs and like locations in the. It's weird.
I feel like that's why they didn't release it.
Yeah, it might be. It's creepy. I definitely recommend checking out the Lost
Azure search up Gen 4
Azure
Flute.
Yes. Unreleased Azure Flute Arceus encounter, something like that. But shiny locks are bad, and unfortunately, they've been in every mainline game since.
Thankfully, there is something that they have.
Something really good.
I can say something that they kind of did to remedy it with the shiny locks. They have recently been giving out shiny legendaries in events. So like Gen 8, you could get a shiny Zacian or Zamazenta, a shiny Galarian
free
birds.
Shinies. Yeah. But there are people that want to have earned the shiny.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the thing. So we as shiny hunters don't like this mechanism, but this generation also added something very, very good that has been in every gen since as well. the Shiny Charm.
Shiny Charm, which is the exact opposite of a shiny lock.
It is the exact opposite.
It brings more shiny.
So it's a key item that you can get in Pokemon games by completing the dex, which is catching all the Pokemon, a certain amount of Pokemon in a dex.
I've only done it once.
And it gives you an item that increases the shiny chance of both wild, including statics and legendaries, and breeded Pokemon. And it's done by generating 2 additional personality values, as we talked about. And it basically results in a tripled chance to be shiny. So with just the Shiny Charm and no other methods, it increases the odds to 1 out of 2,731 in Gen 5 only, because we're going to get to Gen 6 in a second.
Anyway.
But free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert.
Tell them about it.
Okay, so in both Black 2 and White 2, if you complete your entire Pokedex, you can find a shiny Haxorus in the Nature Preserve.
Yes.
There should be a picture on screen of the encounter.
Oh, yeah. I realized we flipped these. Sorry about that in the back there. Haxorus was going to be before the Shiny Charm. Anyway, it's on. They're both on the screen.
Yeah. And then there's also the... in Black 2... Okay, after defeating Benga in the Black Tower or White Tree Hollow, you will, depending on which game, you will get a shiny Gibble or a shiny Dratini.
Which are awesome shinies. If you stop at goodbye.
I like shiny Gengar more than No, I like shiny Garchomp more than I like shiny Gengar.
I disagree big time. But that's okay. That's why it's all about preference and expression. That's what this Pokemon is.
Thing is, a shiny Gibble was my first shiny in Legends
Can we
Arceus.
just agree that shiny Seal is terrible? Is worse than both of those? Shiny Seal is slightly different white.
No. Shiny
Goldango.
Goldango.
Yes.
That's the worst.
Does that even change? Okay, we're getting in the weeds. We're derailing here. We've been arguing about Gengar all episode, and it's hilarious.
Content.
But yes, free shiny alert. This added three shinies.
3, which is the most.
I guess technically 7, right? If you count the evolution lines of Gibble and Dratini. So 7?
So are we saying that Scarlet and Violet have 4?
Maybe? Well, that's something we'll weigh out when we get there. But I mean, technically, so you're getting a single Pokemon, but you get to choose what evolution you leave it at. So you get 7, you get options.
I mean,
so
that one's definitely worth it.
That's where I would stop. I don't think I'd go to the Dragonite because the green's not bad. But
I like it.
I like it, but I like the pink better.
But also, Dragonite's stronger than Dragonair.
Okay, so. All right, home stretch here, ish. Gen 6. This had a major change to Shiny Hunter. In this generation, they doubled the base odds.
2, 1, and 40, 96.
Doubled the odds, making Shiny hunting much more accessible for everyone. For shiny hunters all around. And they added a few methods actually throughout these games. And the games in this generation are Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and then
X and Y.
And so the first one is the Friend Safari. I learned about this the first time doing the notes.
It's weird.
It's really weird, but for every friend that you have in your 3DS system, there will be a Friend Safari you can access. And in that Friend Safari, each one is represented by one of 18 types, contains 3 Pokemon. The shiny odds are increased by generating 4 additional personality values. So you get more friends, you can go check out the safaris, get those 3 encounters, and you got a higher chance of being shiny.
Who needs friends, though?
Having friends gives you shiny things. And this next one is not a method that increases odds, but
Horde encounters
is basically a superior random encounter method.
Horde encounters, if you use the ability or move Sweet Scent, is it a move? Is Sweet Scent a move or an ability?
Sweet Scent is a move and an ability. It's an overworld ability that you can use to force an encounter where you're at.
You can force a Horde encounter, which instead of the normal 1, possibly two encounters, it's 5.
Which is awesome.
Sadly, you have to, if you get a shiny in those, you have to knock out each and every single one of the other shiny
It can
or
be hard to do
non-shinies.
too, because sometimes a Pokemon will have an area effect, like an earthquake, and just knock the other out, and you're like, okay, well, there that goes.
Memento,
But you
explosion.
can, in those gens, just walking around, you have a chance to get the horde encounters, but the Sweet Sense allows you to
Pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah. And so this doesn't increase the odds past the 1 in 4096. We haven't said it like 30 times yet, so we're just
4096, 4096, 4096.
I can't do it. But you're going to see a lot more, so you're going to be getting the pet. Got distracted by petting the Flareon. So you're going to see a lot more of these full odds encounters much more quickly. So the next one is a method that actually does increase the odds. This is called consecutive fishing.
And in Let's Go games, it's pretty much almost exactly the same.
Yeah, this is the first time that no, it's not. The first time that they added a consecutive mechanic was the Poke Radar.
True.
But this is the second time they built on that, and with the consecutive fishing, increase the odds of getting a shiny Pokemon by building a chain of fishing, right? So of reeled in Pokemon by fishing for the same spot, in the same spot. For every Pokemon added to the chain, the game tries 2 extra personality values to attempt to make the Pokemon shiny, up to a chain of 20. So, and the odds become 41 out of 4096, which is approximately 1 in 100.
Yeah.
1 in 100.
It's 1% chance of getting a shiny, which is amazing.
Amazing chance. That is up there. That is up there in the methods we've talked about today. That is just below. Yeah, that's like just below the Japanese odd egg. No, just below the breeding, because the breeding was 1 in 64.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one they added, this I also learned about for the first time. It's called Hidden Pokemon. This was in an Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. So while you're walking around, you can occasionally see Pokemon sticking out of grass a little bit, and then the partially revealed, and then you can encounter them. These are hidden Pokemon, and based on your search level, it'll increase the chance that they'll be shiny. All right, that's Gen 6. Gen 6 was huge. Yeah. It was huge because of that doubled odds, but we're on to Gen 7.
Gen 7, I love the Gen 7 gifts. They just look so pretty.
What's interesting about Gen 7 is it didn't add any, like, fundamentally different mechanics and methods. A lot of these methods just stayed within this generation, you know.
SOS.
SOS. I guess this is just another variation on chains, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm. Basically, there are some Pokemon where if you encounter it, let's say you encounter a Flareon.
Yeah.
That's a non-shiny one. You encounter a Flareon, you get it down to 1 HP or something like that, it will call in the support.
Yeah, and once you build up the chains of them getting support at 11, 21, and 31, the game will add more checks, more personality checks for them to be shiny.
What's your obsession with the number 31?
I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in a second with Let's Go. But this can stack with the shiny charm as well. So if you get to that max chain of 31, it will be 1 out of 315, or with the shiny charm, 1 out of 273.
No, you're saying it wrong. It's 1 out of 315.54, or 1 out of 273.53.
Yep. So this is a pretty good one, but and what's cool about this is there are some really rare Pokemon that can only can come in with SOS. So some Pokemon that shouldn't be the level that they are, like Salamence, a level 10 Salamence, which is a dragon that evolves at 55, I believe. So a lot of people will do that. So the next one that I've always wanted to try was
Ultra Warp Ride. Yeah. They are very fun. Mm-hmm. The only reason I really know about the shiny hunting in these games, is MJTV. I talk about him a lot on here when we talk about Pokemon. He is part of the reason I love Pokemon.
So you will fly through these warp portals, and as the shininess increases based on how far you travel and the rarity of the wormhole you choose to go through. And these wormholes will have like a random pool of Pokemon, and if you travel further, it's a rare style, you got an increased chance of it being shiny.
Yes.
This next game is one that I have hunted a lot, actually.
Let's Go games.
The Let's Go games.
Which was my first full odd shiny, a shiny Drowsy, and I sadly no longer have access to it.
That sucks.
This was on my old Switch.
Darn, that stinks. I'm sorry to hear that. That's a good full odds one too.
And I still haven't gotten another one.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So this one continues on the theme of catch combos and built a whole video game around it. Because that is the core mechanic in the game, is catching things over and over and over to get the items that you need.
Pretty much it's a combination of normal Pokemon game and Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it, because they were capitalizing on Pokemon Go's success at the time. It's a remake of
Yellow
version. Yep. And we talked about this all in the Pokemon gaming episode, but if you get that catch combo up to 31, and it scales with the charm and lures, you can get it as low as 1 out of 273.53. So something I did learn about this, and I'll warn you too, the catch combo bonus only applies to the next Pokemon of that species in the chain. So say you caught 31 Caterpies. The next Caterpies that will spawn will have the 1 out of 200 chance. After that goes away, it'll go back to the 1 out of 4,096. So you'll have to catch another Caterpie to go back up to that 273 odd. I learned that the hard way when I wasn't doing that, and it took me like 20 hours to get a Charmander. I was doing full odds on accident. So I wanted to warn that here, but we're at the bottom of the hour. Got about 8 minutes left to do Generation 8.
and 9.
And 9. Oh, yeah. So variant shinies. This was something I learned about yesterday, too. This is just, they added different sparkle types. So there are star-shaped. These are the normal ones that have been variations of them throughout the game. Yeah, got sparkles here on the cards, right? And then they added square-shaped ones. These have whenever you get a shiny, it has a chance to be 1 out of 16 chance to have square sparkles. So just even more rarity, even more numbers. And then they added brilliant Pokemon. I hadn't heard about this.
I don't even know what they are.
But this is another variation of catch combos. The number of times a player has caught or defeated each species of a Pokemon increases the chance that it will appear as a brilliant Pokemon in the overworld. Brilliant Pokemon are more likely to be shiny, depending on the number battled, and it goes up to 500. So 500 battled, caught, whatever, how you do it, increases the odds to 1 out of 585 or 1 out of 455 with the shiny.
I have so many hours in Pokemon Sword.
I did not know
And
this.
I don't even know what a brilliant Pokemon is.
I had no idea. I had not heard about
I
this.
have an idea. Maybe it's the Pokemon that if you defeat, they give you a BP or whatever.
Just think about it as a catch, another variation on the catch combo.
Dynamax Adventures, one of my favorite things in those games, have a base odds of 1 in 300.
So these are kind of like raid battles where 4 of you or NPCs will fight a big monster, big boss, and then 1 out of 300. Pretty good chance there. And then Legends Arceus. The shiny hunting game. The game I've spent the most time on.
And we don't have much time to talk
We
about
don't
it.
have much time, but this is the first game that had fully overworld shinies, meaning that when you saw the Pokemon walking around, you would see it as a shiny, it would sparkle, and it would make the sound effect. And they added a lot of methods to this game to increase the odds. The base odds, again, are 1 in 4096, but you can complete research tasks up to a level 10 to give it another personality roll. You can perfect it to give it another personality roll. And then these will all stack with things like outbreaks.
Massive mass outbreaks.
Yep. And these mass outbreaks, what they do is it'll be all one Pokemon in a place. You catch and battle them. There's usually like 15 to 20 in them.
10 to 15.
10 to 15, okay. And the highest possible odds you can get by catch combos, mass outbreaks, and shiny charm.
1 in 128.
That is up there.
Can you tell why this is the best game for shiny hunting?
People love hunting this because they love the sparkles, they love seeing them, and they love all the methods to increase the odds.
But I like Gen 9 for it better because it's like more of a grind.
I don't like Gen 9 because they don't have the sparkles or the sound effects.
Okay, yeah, that is annoying. But
free shiny alert.
free shiny.
Free shiny alert. So
There's
this,
a quest.
There's a
there's
quest.
a bulletin board. Isn't it like number 14?
something like that.
Where this person will say, hey, there's a different color Ponyta. Go get it.
It's blue.
It's blue.
All you gotta do is catch it.
And it's such a good shiny.
It's such a good one.
And Rapidash in Legends Arceus actually also has a really good shiny.
That. It's like the ghost flame, like a grayish
purple.
Grayish purple.
It's so
It looks so good. So highly recommend Legends Arceus. There are a lot of ways to get the shiny that you want.
Send it.
Ooh, send it. Okay, Gen 9 at the bottom of the hour. Free shinies.
Free shiny alert.
Free shiny alert. These are the last free shinies that we have here. And you told me about these.
Yes.
These are DLC shinies.
Yes, DLC. There's DLC. There's paid DLC in these games. That's where Dynamax Adventure is too.
Really? Okay. And so one of them you can get is Munchlax.
Munchlax from beating the highest tier of Ogre Ousting.
Okay.
Which is almost entirely impossible with one person.
Oh no, friends again. Game Freak, why? They've wanted you to have friends since, the first games where they wanted you to trade. Come on.
I don't have friends.
I'll just buy 2 games. And then they had Blitzel.
Blitzel, which you need to do a whole complicated load of stuff.
It's worth it though. Zebstrika is pretty sweet.
Zebstrika has a really good shiny.
Purple shiny. Okay, and the big method that they added to this game was sparkling
sandwiches.
By eating sandwiches.
I love the sandwiches. That's why this
Some
is my
people
favorite
love
game.
Sandwiches. I thought it was certainly a mechanic of all time.
I love the sandwiches.
Okay, but you can eat certain combinations of sandwiches. You build them with different foods and
it's
tofu,
a mini game,
and it's a little mini game. And what these will do can increase your sparkling power to increase the odds of encountering a certain shiny.
There's also Tidal power, catching power.
But what we care about is the sparkling.
There's a whole bunch of powers that these get.
And you can look up sandwich guides online.
Sandwich guides.
To make the right sandwich. You can get the powers of these sandwiches go from 1 to 3. So you can get a sandwich that has 3
fire.
For the encounter of fire type to get more fire type, 3 for the sparkling power of fire to get more.
Tidal?
And then you can get titles and size. But we care about the sparkling because that increases the odds. There are also mass outbreaks in this game as well, where the odds increase by knocking them out, catching them, auto battling them from 60 plus. The highest possible rates in this game are Outbreak with 60 plus cleared, Sparkling Power of 3, and a Shiny Charm to get to 1 in 512. So not the highest odds that we've seen, but pretty good. And Pokemon just spawn so quick in this game. So I've gotten quite a few.
There's also
shinies.
Overworld Shinies.
Yeah, there are Overworld Shinies, but they don't make the sound effect, and they don't show the sparkles.
Which has annoyed a lot of people.
It has annoyed me.
I'm fine with it.
Since I really liked Arceus, and moving to that game, that was frustrating because there are shinies that you can't see very well in the overworld that you just miss if you don't hear them. If I hadn't heard some of those sound effects in Legends, I wouldn't have got them. Even though they're noticeable, they're out in the distance, So that's been a contention for the fan base. We'll see if in Gen 10 or the next games if they bring the sound effect back. But that's all we got. That was a lot. A lot of numbers.
A lot of talking.
Shiny hunting. But we have a question. We talked about our favorite shiny that we own, but today, at the bottom of the hour, we want to talk about our favorite overall shiny. So what is your favorite overall shiny? Right now, it changes.
Right now, it is both of the Meowstics.
Okay.
Because they have a great white and a great, gold.
Like a goldish. Yeah, I like those. That's a good choice.
And even Esper has, he's a little guy. He's
pink.
Small,
Yeah.
He's pink.
Okay, nice. For me, it was going to be Gen 2. I knew it was going to be Gen 2, but I was torn between Ho-Oh and Suicune. But I went with Ho-Oh because I have a Ho-Oh shirt. I guess it's not mine. It's Savannah's. But it's 3 years old, and it's a shiny Ho-Oh.
I love the shiny.
And Fire's my favorite type. It's just a golden chicken. I love this guy. Better than Moltres.
That is true.
That's the pink chicken.
Raw chicken.
Raw chicken. But that's what we got for this episode. Please, if you have any questions, you want to tell us your favorite shiny, tell us the methods that you use that we've missed.
Again,
please
don't talk about curry Pokemon.
put it in the comments. We'll read it out on our next Pokemon episode.
Don't like curry.
In 35 episodes. We'll read it out there, but also you can email us directly at shareddiscoveryshow@gmail.com. Do you have any honorable mention shinies you want to mention before we sign off?
Ninetales.
Ninetales, yes, we did mention that. I'm just gonna say right here, I like it. I've been really liking Aerodactyl's pink purple shiny.
Oh, Greninja.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes,
That's a lot of people's favorite. Didn't Greninja win like Pokemon of the Year?
I think it did.
One year.
It's a great Pokemon, and it's a great shiny. So that
Oh,
signs
and
us off.
Decidueye.
That's it. That's a good one too. That's it for the show. Thanks BCTV for allowing us to put on the show as always.
You're welcome.
Hey, yeah, thank us. Thank you there. And thanks again for you joining us on episode 39 of Shared Discovery. As we close, please make sure to hunt for some shiny Pokemon, have fun, play some games, and be kind to others. And sign us off.
Be good people.
See you next time.